Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, your host for the House of Hardcore Podcast, Tommy Dreamer.
Welcome to another episode of the House of Hardcore Podcast. I'm your host, Tommy Dreamer. And this week, man, we have somebody who is all over social media. And now you get to see him in his man cave, because you could also see that whenever he tweets every other second. Ethan Page, how are you from the north? What's going on?
I'm good. I took a little hiatus from social media to do this interview. So
I can't believe it. I don't know how you're not live streaming or vlogging this as we're talking.
I know how much you love the vlogs, Tommy.
Oh, those vlogs. We'll get into all of that.
Awesome.
And our relationship and everything. But first, I always like to ask, what got you hooked into professional wrestling?
I guess it's my dad's fault. I say fault because this is the craziest job on earth, but he loved wrestling when I was really young. Brought me to my first live shows. He was the one that turned it on TV first. He would do impersonations of all the wrestlers and have me do the same. And then I was the perfect age for like wrestling buddies and stuff like that. So it was a perfect mix, but I would definitely say it's my dad's fault.
Who was your guy growing up?
Macho Man.
Oh, yeah.
Loved Macho, loved Ultimate Warrior, loved Hulk Hogan, loved Jim Duggan, Ricky the Dragon. And then my dad always made Razor Ramon cool because he thought Razor was the coolest guy ever. So my dad would call me Chico, and I'd always have like a toothpick in my mouth. And my dad loved it. But yeah, I would say those were the guys that I really liked growing up. And then obviously fell in love with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when we got towards the Attitude Era.
Lovely. How did you become a pro wrestler?
This is brutal. I don't know if I'm going to get judged or not, but I went to like a local school because one of my friends in elementary school started training there, and we backyard wrestled at the time. So he was like the introduction to the school, but the school was so bush league. I thought I was the greatest wrestler of all time after like 2 classes. So I kind of just started traveling, and there was wrestlers in the area that would travel to America, and they wanted gas money. So it was like, I don't know, I paid my way through, I guess, and kind of learned on the road. But I was learning on the road from guys. Like I was going up and doing Ian Rotten shows within my first year or 2 of wrestling. So I was watching guys like Chris Hero or Roderick Strong or Colt Cabana perform on a weekly basis almost. And then they would critique my matches, and I would pick stuff up from them, even just watching them perform. So, I mean, I had a very weird upbringing through wrestling. Maybe that's why it took me so many years to get any form of success, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
Well, I mean, you learned then, you're self-taught, learned on the fly. And it's amazing, me doing these podcasts, and I know I've learned a lot of people's stories, but there's been a lot of people that have kind of trained that way. I always said like Mikey Whipwreck and the Hardys were the best 2 guys to be trained just by watching it. But there's so many others that I've interviewed, and I was like, you were self-taught and you become this good. I also, if you, I know you don't really know him, but Terry Taylor was the same way. Terry Taylor was a guy who loved Ric Flair, watched The Business, and was like, oh, I can do that. And literally got in the ring because he had a good body. And they were like, he BS'd his way in. And they were like, hey, do you think you could do this? And, you go out there. Back then he was an enhancement talent. And he's like, he just picked it up right away. I mean, Dusty Rhodes did the same thing where he just BS'd his way and wound up in Massachusetts. And they're like, yeah, I'm a wrestler. And just because of his charisma, it's amazing how many people get in that way. But like you said, you had different people you're watching, and you had different people critiquing you, and then so you can know how to eliminate the bad. As
Yeah.
You're a smart kid. I've known you for a long, long time, and you do absorb knowledge, and you do have a passion and a strive to be better. And so I could see that making you how you are today, because you are pretty damn good in the ring.
Oh, damn. I like how this interview is going.
Shut up. I'll rip you up later.
Yeah. I totally agree, though. But like, I found a difference very quickly that the physical part of wrestling, you either can do it or you can't. And I don't think there's really much you can change when it comes to people knowing their body and performing on like a physical level. I feel like the psychology, the timing, the presentation, all of that is what takes a very, very long time to kind of master. And that is, I think, what I really picked up while being on the road and traveling with some of the best wrestlers at the time.
It takes, well, back in the day, all the guys that your dad grew up watching, it would take guys like Randy Savage 10 years on an average of working every night in a territory to make it to the WWE. I mean, there's a list of guys, Ted DiBiase. They were like 10 years in when they finally got their big break, because yes, like you said, putting moves together, doing all that stuff. But then once it clicks, and it also, I mean, as you know, you could work with someone who's the drizzling shits and you're not going to learn anything. And you may come in the back like, that was the best match ever. Or this guy's the shits. Why did I even waste my time doing that?
Yeah.
But all that comes with knowledge and time.
Yeah. And I literally remember doing an Evolve show in New York, actually. It was in the NYWC building. And they had Sami Zayn there as like a special guest. And at the time, I'd been wrestling for 10 years. I just finished my match. And he pulled me aside after, and he was like, hey, you kind of like, I feel like you understand what's going on out there. Like, well, how long you been wrestling? And I was like, 10 years. He's like, yeah, that's when it really clicked for me and Kevin Steen too. He's like, isn't that so weird? And even to think back to that in comparison to where I am now, 14, 15 years into my career, I was like a lost puppy back then. So it's crazy how many levels and stages of, I guess, understanding in professional wrestling or just growing and learning. You literally never stop. It's crazy.
Nope, absolutely. That's the best part
of
it. And I mean, I look at myself, my own career when I was, man, and I've had a lot of lucky breaks, but I mean, I've been on the road straight on television since 1991. And they'll go back, and matches that I've had with Taz were so ahead of their time, and I thought they were the best matches ever. And if I go back and watch it, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what were we thinking? Or me and Raven. But there was a time too, I want to say like 97, I was just clicking on all cylinders just like that. It's like this, all of a sudden, once you get it, and then it's just, and I've watched your own maturity, because I know I've thrown stuff at you and you'd be like, well, what if we did this? And then I'm like, yeah, this kid's getting it. Finally. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, I'm hit and miss.
Let's talk about our first meeting.
Yeah, sure.
I love your story about that.
What, you mean when I paid you to be my friend? You remember that?
Absolutely.
I booked you for my home promotion. I was like 20 something, maybe 21, maybe even 20 years old, running a promotion out of my hometown, Hamilton, Ontario. It's called Alpha One Wrestling. And we were growing. We had a steady audience every single month, and it was time to invest and bring people that I wanted to learn from that could teach me. And you were on the top of the list. So you came into Canada and wrestled for my promotion.
Now tell the other story of the aftermath, because I appreciate it.
I was so nervous, man. Okay, so at 20 years old, putting on wrestling shows is expensive. So, you try and cut costs where you can and finagle and make deals. And Tommy Dreamer, being the brother wrestler that he is, agreed to sleep on my couch. I don't know if at the time you even knew it wasn't my couch. It was my parents' couch. But Tommy Dreamer ended up taking a night instead of a hotel and staying in my parents' basement with me while I stayed up and edited the entire show. And instead of sleeping because he had an early flight, he actually help me direct the show, tell me where to put the cameras, how we can have the show flow better, even help me with our weekly YouTube shows when we do storylines and stuff like that. So it was awesome to be able to actually pick your brain, especially with how close you worked with Paul Heyman and how integral you were to ECW. To me, it was like, I don't know, like those masterclass commercials that come on online where they're like, come learn from so-and-so about directing movies. It was like that, but with professional wrestling. So to me, it was the most invaluable at the time. And I still use some of that stuff today.
That's awesome. And for me, like, I remember we're sitting in the car and then like we come back and I was just like, you know, sometimes the promoter doesn't tell you, you know, probably after that, I specified I need a hotel room, but I didn't have a bad time because I saw that you were a good kid and I enjoyed the whole process. By the way, is this house that you're in right now with all this behind the same place where I slept?
No, this is mine and my wife's home. Yeah.
All right. Well, I really didn't sleep, but I listen, man, you got to understand when I was 21, Paul Heyman allowed me in the studio, and that was unheard of back in the day. There was massive heat if you were a wrestler that wanted to learn more outside of the business. And I don't want to say I saw something like a piece of me in you, but the fact that you were so young and you were putting on shows and you weren't an idiot, you weren't, you know, taking drugs, you know, doing all these things and wanted to get your own promotion off the ground. And every time I've wrestled for you, you've always had a good house. So, I mean, I'm happy that we kind of met that way because I always a joke. And my favorite was when I met your parents. I think it was in the late at night or in the morning. And then I remember like turning and going, how old's your father? And I'm like, I'm the same. I think I'm the same age as your dad, right? Or a little, how old your dad?
He's, I want to say born in 63.
Oh, okay. So he's older than me. He just looks better than me. I'll be 50 in February, but I remember being like, yeah, I'm probably the same age as his mom and dad, and I'm sleeping in their couch. Wonder what they're thinking right now.
Well, that's got to be pretty crazy for them now that I have a kid and, you know, responsibilities in my own home, to think that like my kid would end up bringing home I don't know, at the time, 39, 40-year-old man. That's to normal people, that's not normal.
A crazy, you know nothing about me. I'm a literal total stranger. Hopefully you didn't do that a lot to their house because.
Oh, I definitely did. Right. Actually, it got even funnier when my wife and I ended up getting our house. This is a story that will pop you specifically, but I booked Nunzio to come to Alpha One. And at the time we were in this house and I'd worked shows with him before. So we've kind of like become friends at this point. So we all go out after, have dinner. He comes over to my place. We have a drink and chat. It's awesome. And I'm just thinking like, wow, this is so sweet. My wife's getting along with him. This is so great. So we hook Nunzio up. He goes upstairs to take a shower. I forgot to tell the man that we have a water softener and it's a very slippery tub. Well, Nunzio has bumped in many places. One of them is Ethan Page's shower. And all you hear is, oh! And my wife turns to me and goes, is that man okay? So, yeah, we've had people everywhere and anywhere to be able to run Alpha One. And so many cool wrestlers have dealt with a lot to be able to pull it off.
I have as well. Just my house that I grew up in was a safe haven for wrestlers all the time. My den, my parents were very, very supportive. And so many wrestlers stayed at my house. I'll never forget the whole thing with Chris Benoit. Chris stayed at my house for about a week to 10 days. And when Chris did what he did, it was, you know, front page. And my mother comes to me and she was just like, did a murderer sleep at our house? And I was like,
oh, no.
Yes, Mom. Sorry. And she's like, why do you know so many murderers? And I was just like, well, I actually know a lot more. And I started listing all these people. And she was just like, it's disgusting. My mom's 80. So now after that, you know, we're acquaintances. And now I start seeing you more and more pop up. Again, social media is now kicking, but I see you more in Evolve. That's kind of where my eye really caught on you, what you were doing. How did all that come about?
Well, I would pretty much harass Gabe Sapolsky on a regular basis, just for an opportunity. And when they would come to Canada, I would try and help promote or cross promote, or, you're always trying to make relationships and kind of make yourself valuable to somebody. And they eventually ended up doing an Alpha One Evolve pre-show where we ended up helping them push tickets. We ran an event the week before. It was when they did the convention in Toronto. So from there, I really started a very small relationship with Gabe. And after that day, I started traveling to America working for this company called AIW out of Cleveland. And that's what really helped my stock grow. And I was able to cut promos and do storylines and stuff like that and kind of show my character. And from there, Gabe brought me in to Evolve because of the work I did with Johnny Gargano. And I was actually introduced in Evolve as Johnny Gargano's hand-picked upcoming star. And then that really started our storyline the first weekend with Evolve, and it was off to the races for almost 3 years there.
I remember seeing a lot of cool stuff you did with Darby Allin.
Yeah.
And more so you on social media, not how you tweet today, but you were tweeting a lot more in character, which a lot of talent weren't doing.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon will always say, it's all about presentation. And you had this persona or this presentation. Some may think it's true. Some may think it's not. I do not. But like a guy who's very, very full of himself, because that was your character. Yeah. And it was, at times I'd be like, man, this kid's saying some things I don't know if he should be saying on public, on social media, because I don't know if it's going to help him later on in life. But it kind of worked out. So you go from Evolve to Impact Wrestling, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
How did that all come about?
So it was mostly through, I would say, Sanjay Dutt. What happened with Evolve was, at the time, they were really starting to mold their relationship with WWE, and I really wanted to stay with Evolve. But for some reason, we weren't able to line up either the money or the lawyers, but to be able to get me a work visa. At the time, my stock was rising so quickly that I was getting really afraid of getting caught at the border, because my entire Evolve run had no visa. So I was just traveling and telling them, hey, I'm going to wrestle. I'm not making any money. That was mostly true. But
I was going to say, that's kind of true.
Yeah, it was mostly true. But it was an invaluable experience getting to work with Gabe and to be able to do that for 3 years. But I needed the paperwork. My wife was, I believe, either pregnant or about to be pregnant around that time. And in came Impact Wrestling, and I ended up doing the lawyer character, ironically, getting the work visa, but then having to sit on the sidelines for about 8 to 10 months until Ethan Page actually debuted. But I wouldn't even change that. I had 2 tours of Japan for DDT Pro. I started traveling England on a regular basis. So that time, while I had the visa, I was trying to stay as busy as I can on the independents and internationally traveled. So it was a really big learning experience for me on how to work. And then now we came into Impact as Ethan Page teaming with Matt Sydal.
I like the fact that Gabe was kind of going how ECW used to run things, where you just wrestle without visas and all that stuff. He learned well from the illegalness of Extreme Championship Wrestling. So wait, you were Joseph Park's brother? Cousin?
Yeah.
And
Chandler Park.
Yes, I remember all this, which I wasn't a big fan of, because like you said, I knew you had equity in your name. You were an indie darling. You were a rising star. And then for them to go and change your gimmick, change your name, I was just like, why do they have to do that? But it, as you said, it worked out for you. And this whole time, how long have you known Josh?
Oh, we've been teaming. We won the PWG tag titles by this point. We'd have done Ring of Honor for a few months by this point. We've been friends since, I want to say, just before I started Alpha One. So over 10 years.
You had told me an interesting concept of kind of why you became a tag team wrestler. If you could get into that.
Yeah. So around the time, this is pre-evolve, I would say around the time I started traveling to America, I realized there was so many singles acts that were on fire at the time. Like you had guys like Kevin Steen, you had guys like Cole Cabana, Chris Hero, and these guys were every single place. So to top them with no name value, I thought it would be such a long road to be able to get to that point of popularity. And I looked at how many good tag team acts there were, and PWG at the time was having trouble filling their yearly tournament. So I thought the quickest way for us to get to the success and have people know who we are and be booked on all these really good shows is to become a tag team. We were both at the time confident in our abilities. You put them together and it's like a shorter list of competition, if that makes any sense. So it was like a mathematical choice, but it ended up working out. We started traveling to Chicago for AAW as the Monster Mafia. And from there started working teams like the American Wolves, which ended up getting us flown out to California to work the Young Bucks on a local show. And then from that, the Young Bucks pitched us to PWG. We did Ring of Honor. We wrestled at Evolve as a team. So our resume as a tag team is really long before we even teamed up as the North. So it's a good history we have.
Before he came on board, because then again, it's visa issues with Impact, and plus he had gotten hurt, so he was sidelined. But that's for his story to tell, not yours. And I got to get him on next. So now I got a double booking out of this. Good stuff.
We do joke a lot, though, the two of us, that it's insane how we both had two completely different paths and completely different careers. And like I had my entire stint in Evolve, and while that was going on, he was dealing with a broken neck and recovering from that. And in the end, we ended up in the same place, kind of doing the same thing. So for us, it was like an amazing thing to be able to accomplish the title reign we had together at Impact.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you'll be amazed how your careers will cross paths with people like that more and more. Like I remember, at one point in Impact Wrestling, I'm looking around and I'm like, there was Rob, Don Callis, Rhino, Sabu, Swinger. And I'm like, man, all these people were a part of my life in my 20s, and now 40 years, now I'm in my late 40s, and all these people are back in my life on a regular basis. Yeah. So it's cool when that stuff happens. I was even like, we're recording this right after Sting debuted in AEW, and I'm sitting there saying, I wonder when the last time Jim Ross called something for Sting. And then somebody tweeted Jim Ross, and he's like, no, I met him when he first started his career in Mid-South and then in WCW. But like, he used to call his wrestling in Mid-South as the Blade Runners. Then when he went to WCW, but then Jim Ross left to go to WWE. So yeah, a lot of times you don't realize like your paths are crossing. And it's like friggin' almost 19 years later, he's calling Sting stuff again. It's nuts.
I love it though. That's pro wrestling to a T.
100%.
It's the biggest, but it's the smallest world.
And I've told you this before, like I'm trying to think of who's the most famous football player. We'll say Tom Brady. Tom Brady has crossed many, many generations, but people like Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter is one of the greatest shortstops in baseball, but he can't hit a ball today off of somebody because he doesn't play. But in wrestling, you can still go out there and tag or work with people that you grew up watching and have an opportunity to wrestle them and all that stuff. Like you said, hell, if you run your own promotion, you could book to wrestle them, and that's the beauty.
Yeah, exactly.
Before before North formed an Impact, do you have any memorable stuff for yourself during that time?
Yeah, I had a match with Rich Swann there was an eye opener for management, I feel. And then we had the Ultimate X in Nashville Fairgrounds, which to me as a TNA fan, getting to wrestle on that pay-per-view was live for the opener. It was Ultimate X. There was the old school colors because it was the homecoming. I'll have fond memories of that pay-per-view and that match for the rest of my career.
I remember you and Swan. It was really, really good. But
Thank you.
Also, Swan never has a bad match with anybody.
No, he does not.
I remember the whole, you guys kind of did like a super kick, strike combo. And like the people like, oh, which I love that stuff. And
yeah, the people.
Yeah, remember those days?
Yeah, I do.
I tell people that all the time. I'm like, oh man, because everyone like, oh, Dreamer, you work really, really hard. And I'll be like, hey, we all start out wrestling in front of no people. And I was like, oh, I wrestle like I'm wrestling in front of 80,000 people, or the same if I'm wrestling against no people now. So
literally.
And now I still just do things to pop myself and get yelled at by Scott. You can't do that.
I can confirm this.
Oh yeah. I just got fined, by the way. That's a whole other story.
Oh geez.
Yeah. $500.
Is it for that haircut?
No. That should give me a raise. They should give me a raise for this awesome haircut. On the fact that I have hair, I'm happy. All of a sudden I went from having a bald spot to like the blooming onion. It just folded around and now I just glue it all together. It's fine.
It's getting so long.
Yeah, man. Pandemic. Well, our lives changed during the pandemic, both for the good. You grew a body, I grew hair out of nowhere.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp offers professional counseling done securely online. So if you feel like there's something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, definitely check out BetterHelp. I don't know, maybe we're dealing with a pandemic. Maybe we got the holidays coming up. Maybe there's a lot of things and we sometimes just feel overwhelmed. Those are some of the issues that myself and a lot of people deal with. And maybe online therapy can help. Whatever you're dealing with, BetterHelp has a wide range of counselors available for you. Plus, BetterHelp is more affordable than traditional online counseling. Their services are available worldwide, and it's quick and easy to get started. Once you sign up, BetterHelp will match you with your own licensed professional therapist that you'll be able to communicate within under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line. It's not a self-help. It's a professional counseling done securely online. And BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches. So it's easy and it's free to change counselors if needed. You can log into your account and send a message to your counselor at any time, and you'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room like traditional therapy again. Also, if money is tight, financial aid is available. Basically, BetterHelp wants to help you start living a happier life today. So, go to BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp.com/hardcore to join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. New testimonials from users are posted daily. In fact, so many people are using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. So go to betterhelp.com/hardcore. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp, HELP.com/hardcore. And you get 10% off your first month. One more time. That's betterhelp.com/hardcore for 10% off your first month. Now let's get back to the show.
So now the North comes about. I love the North. I've always been a fan of your partner, Josh Alexander, and I think you guys gel very, very well together. And now you're kind of on this different path. Tell us about that and to the point where you finally win the tag titles.
Oh man, like I was saying, like it was so cool for us to even end up in the same company together just because we enjoy traveling together. Like it's the easiest. I've traveled with hundreds of people. I would rather be just me and Josh no one else, not a third, nothing, just the two of us on any road trip over anything. So for us to be able to work on the same company together was awesome, but to end up teaming and coming up with the North and kind of becoming a complete package after working together for so many years, I think that was part of the reason why we had a fast track to success and ended up winning the title so soon as the North. But for us, that was the ultimate goal, was becoming tag team champions. We had no idea we were going to end up holding them for over 365 days. And then the icing on the cake to be able to hold them again for a second time was just, all career highlights and things that I'll definitely cherish and remember forever. And to be able to do it with my legitimate best friend is kind of scary, but very rewarding.
When you guys are the longest reigning tag team champions in Impact history, correct?
Yes.
That is awesome. And I don't know, I mean, you think about these records, it's hard for someone to beat it, especially when you say a lot of people don't have the smarts to be like, I'm going to be a tag team wrestler because this is better for my business, my wallet, all that stuff. And I don't think that's going to be a hard record to beat. And
can I add something to that? What you just said?
Yeah.
You don't think people will become a tag team? It's because everyone becomes a wrestler because they truly love themselves and think they're stars. So to like take themselves out of their own head and like their own superstardom, I feel like for me, running wrestling shows and being a booker has helped me with my mental game in professional wrestling, because I look at the entire board instead of what I'm specifically doing. So I'm looking at the entire landscape of wrestling and how it can benefit us. Just like I was booking, like I was never running myself to be world champion. I was never feuding with the top guys because I knew I had to use all the pieces to put on the best show. And that's the way I looked at it for tag team wrestling too. So I know it's tough for people to not look at themselves as the number one star in their life, but I knew me and Josh together were better off.
Dude, I mean, I've been doing that. I've had all the pull my entire wrestling career up until I went to WWE, and I still had some pull my second time around. And I always thought that way, which is brilliant to think that way. And if you think it hurt people like, I don't know, the Rock and Roll Express or the Road Warriors or Bubba and Devon, there's so many lists of people like that where, because you could either come back to it or you break away, you could become a regular star. Look at Shawn Michaels, probably one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time, had a pretty good singles career, you know?
Yeah.
As well as then, you know, forming DX and being, you know, tag team partners with Hunter. You look at Undertaker. Oh yeah, by the way, he tagged with Kane a lot. And that stuff works both sides. But, you know, I also look at it, you look at like the Midnight Express. Bobby Eaton had no body, couldn't talk, and he's considered one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. And he was with two other partners in his career, and made him, like, everyone that generation will say Bobby Eaton was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. No one ever says, oh, he couldn't be heavyweight champion. It's because of what he did in tag team wrestling. And same with Arn. The list goes on. And it's cool that in 2020 going into 2021, we could still see it with, you know, guys like that, Arn and Tully being in AEW, or Ricky and Robert showing up there. It's cool too, because I know who they are. You're a lot younger than me. You know who they are, but there's people that not, then they want to go out there and start searching them and Googling them. And that's the beauty of your generation, because I couldn't find out any of that information. I was obsessed with it, but I had to go through wrestling magazines and VCR tapes. That's how I got all my information, and I was obsessed. The North, and I've told you this, the greatest compliment I could always give to someone is when I booked them on my show, when I was running House of Hardcore shows. And then, you know, putting people in the main events and or working against myself, because I know that you're that good in ring that I'm going to have a good match, because I still have a lot of pride in what I do, all that stuff. we have worked several times. One of my favorites is when it was me, Rob, and Sabu versus you, and with Josh and was it Moose?
Yep, Moose. Yeah.
Now, I loved it because of the match, and it was really, really good. But I will need to tell the story because I just pop about it. Where we're in the back and we're going over stuff, and we're just really just talking. It's earlier in the day. And as I always do, I tell stories about things that happen. And I was like, yeah, man, Sabu probably, he carries a really sharp spike, like a file down nail to stab fans if they try to hit the ring. I go, or if wrestlers are going to like start to get stupid, you just start stabbing a wrestler. It happens. And your face is just like looking at me. And I was like, yeah, back then we used to carry weapons when we would wrestle. By the way, I don't know if you saw this recently. Hernandez wrestled the whole match, and then he had to do something, and he pulled a straight razor out of his boot on Impact Wrestling and went after the two girls. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's old school. You carry a straight razor just in case someone starts getting sassy with you. It was more or less for the fans. But anyway. So I tell you this, and your face kind of lights up like, wow, there's no way that happened. I was like, yeah, man, you stab a fan if they try to attack you, whatever. So we're having another conversation, and we're saying something. And I remember like you're talking about Sabu, not talking bad about him, but like saying, hey, can we go this? And I was like, no. And then like, well, what is this? And literally Sabu walks out of the back room, and you like see him, and you're like, he knows I wasn't talking about him, right? And I was like, I don't know what Sabu knows, because now I got to work this up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, and it worked.
So then we put together the match, blah, blah, blah. So Sabu tells Josh, all right, just shoot around with me. And then, we'll do this stuff. So Josh goes, shoots around with Sabu. As soon as he does something, Sabu goes, fuck. Right. And then he yells, this guy's a crowbar. Right. And the spot didn't get messed up, but it was just like, hey, when you tell somebody shoot around with me, you're going to shoot around. So they break. They come to my corner, and Sabu's like, guy's a crowbar. He's stiff. And I go, well, then just tag me in. Something very, very like that. And he's like, fuck you, Dreamer. And he tags me in. Right. That was our conversation. Him and I have wrestled a million times. Van Damme's just like, dude, right? Because it's so normal to us. Now, please tell us on the other side of the corner of what's going on.
So I'm freaked out because you tell me he's going to stab people. And then I hear him say that Josh is stiff. And Josh comes over, and I'm like, is he going to stab you, Josh? Because I'm pretty sure there's an issue with what happened in the ring right there. And he looks hot. He's yelling at even Dreamer. So I'm like, I don't know if we can even do the rest of this match at this point. And it's like ECW arena. He's around his friends. So in my mind, I'm convincing myself that I or Josh is going to get stabbed by Sabu.
And I remember you saying he's going for his boot. He's going to the
boot. Hey, man, I was so worried. That's when we first really started working with Rob, Sabu, and yourself on a steady basis for a couple of loops. So, yeah, I was like, oh, this is not a good way to start this relationship.
So I was going to stab somebody. And I remember Josh going, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, literally. He was like, what do you mean? That was just wrestling.
Oh, it'd been so great if you would have stabbed somebody. Old school wrestling.
Not me, but yeah.
Moose would have taken it. Yeah. Man, that was funny. So we go back to the north. You guys really, really had to be a tag team is one thing, to gel like you guys do too. But again, also a company then believes in you to carry their titles for a long, long time. And you've been involved in storylines the entire time since you've been tag team champions. Do you have a favorite tag team that you've worked or a favorite tag match?
The stuff we did in Vegas with TJP and Fala, Josh and I both really liked. It was 2 tag matches, a singles match with Josh and TJP, all three matches together building up, I think did really, really well. And anytime we wrestled the Rascals and we were allotted enough time to kind of go out there and really put on a performance, we've been really proud of that. And there's been a couple instances where we had like the app specials or Twitch specials where we're getting 20 to 25 minutes to go out there and have a tag match. And those are some of our favorite matches we've ever had as a team.
Fala is very, very underrated.
I agree.
I feel Impact needs to do more with Fala because he's so good and could be such a marketable person because of he can do anything. He could do comedy, he can brawl, and he could also, he's a really good wrestler and he knows who he is. And you telling me that I do remember all these, matches that he had, but I also think Fala could be a very, very big single star. And
I agree. I think he might have been hurt by no audiences because people forget how like lovable he is without constantly seeing people slap their own forehead and yell "bah."
Right. I don't remember who to take him more seriously. I think they wanted to remove that from him to start to get that push, but that's an excellent observation because yes, there are wrestlers that get hurt like that. I always say Willie Mack is somebody that he does not look like he can do the things that he can do with his physique, all that stuff. And he's another one that in front of a live crowd gets over with them. Yeah. Like he's over with all the boys, like in the back, everybody loves Willie. And the fans do with a live audience on television. He still has those great matches, but when the lack of people take away from the lack of the star that Willie Mack truly can be. Now we'll get to other stuff because you need to smarten me up. How come? Because I feel this is a generational thing. If I go to your Twitter account, it says All Ego, Ethan Page.
Yeah.
Or played by. Explain this whole thing to me.
Oh, okay. So I have been Chandler Park, Ethan Page. In Ring of Honor, I was Ethan Gabriel Owens. For a time, because of visa issues and border problems, I was literally a symbol like Prince. #AllEgo. I have had so many characters and gimmicks and people kind of telling me how to present myself. This is my way of saying, yeah, it's cool and everything that Ethan Page is on Impact Wrestling. That's not really the talent. The talent is Julian. And no matter whatever label or character or name you want to give me, Julian is the one doing the performance. I'm the talent. So everything is played by Julian. It kind of protected me in a sense of, let's say I end up going somewhere else at the end of the year. I still have that no matter what, whether they change my name or whether even Impact wants me to do a completely different character next year or whatever. At the end of the day, I still have Julian and I can present that on my YouTube or my Twitch channel and I can be more down to earth.
Well, I'm glad you explained it to me because I thought it was because for a long time in this business, and we still say it, there are wrestlers that, you'll watch them and they're playing a wrestler. They're not a wrestler. And I thought it was one of these things where it's, hey, I'm this character you see on television, but not the person that's presenting it today. Like Adam West tweeting as Batman, as opposed to like, hey, that's a character I play on TV. That's not the real person. Because I personally feel that social media should be used to promote things, as you do too. And I don't really put personal stuff on my social media. You kind of do both. So I thought that's why you had that going on. But at least, hey, you explained to me. See, now I'm learning stuff. Yes.
I know it's not a very popular thing. I've always found to go with my gut feeling and to be like honest and genuine and true, especially to my audience. And I know a lot of people have noticed as well, have a very vocal and supportive fan base. And I feel like that authenticity is a really big selling point. People actually kind of get to know me as a person and feel as if they're actually aiding me in this ultimate goal of becoming a superstar in professional wrestling.
I hear you. I agree. I needed to clarify it because, and then, I mean, the other thing, there's new school thoughts and there's old school thoughts. I feel I really do, unless you tell me I don't, blend the lines very, very well. And I feel like there's a lot of older wrestlers that it's my way or the highway. I like to look at both sides of the spectrum, and I could be like, hey, my gut tells me no, but if you feel this, but if you're wrong, you basically just have to tell me, hey, you were wrong. I mean, I was wrong, you were right. Or I'll say I was wrong. Very rare does that ever happen. But I kind of feel I do personally blend those lines very well, because I remember people telling me, oh, you'll be in a wheelchair by the time you're 28 for all the crazy bumps that you're taking. Mm-hmm. And I've always been different and an outcast, and you know, that's cool. I'm still wrestling when most of those people are not. And like I said, you have a lot of those genius moments. They're not a lot, but they're moments that you do too. And I mean, I tell you this all the time. It's probably every TV I will say something different to you or have a conversation with you totally about wrestling. I mean, we talk about other stuff, but stuff like that, like your vlog and all that stuff. But like, to me, if you're a heel, like, you wouldn't want that fan base. You'd want to heal that fan base. Because also, like, MJF, I think, is a perfect example of a great heel in 2020, 2021. There's people that friggin' hate that dude. And even when people compliment him, he still heals them.
Yeah. I feel like you can't have too many of those, or they don't become as special. And if I really committed to that, it would be like a copycat. At this time, I feel like everyone kind of grabs onto a niche and it's like their zone. But I will say, this definitely is going to come out egotistical. I don't think what anyone calls me matters, because the name doesn't matter when you're conveying an emotion or anything like that. And I know for a fact I have a very convincing promo. So at the end of the day, you won't even be thinking about what my name is. You'll be worried about what I'm saying and who I'm talking about and the purpose of the promo or segment or whatever. So,
oh, dude, I agree. And I've also seen you do matches where you would do a million moves. And then I'd also see you do matches where you literally cut promos and, like, Indie 101, enraged an audience and took maybe 1 to 2 bumps and had one hell of a performance. So I've also seen you have those matches on television where poor Josh has taken all the bumps and
hey, I'm trying to keep that a secret, Tommy.
Not when I'm your agent. Man, I just lost my train of thought because you popped me. A couple other things I wanted to ask you. All right. I don't know if most people know this, but most people know that I do gross things. I normally do. This is pre-COVID, because I stopped doing gross things because of COVID. But you are one of those people that have a weak stomach, and I kind of prey on that every single television or when I'm to do stuff to make you throw up. I used to do that to poor C.W. Anderson. And what would you say is the most disgusting thing you've ever seen me do to clearly pop the boys and make you get sick? Because I seriously do. Like, I look forward to it.
Yeah, it's on one of my vlogs. I think it's called Behind the Scenes or Backstage Impact TV in New York. It's a picture of me staring at you in awe, because I believe it was oatmeal, orange juice, coffee. I want to say something else too.
It was in New York. It was in Queens.
You put it in your mouth and you were like, Paige. And I looked over and you went into the cup, and that was it. That's all it took. I was pretty much close to vomiting.
I love doing that. I'm going to be sad if you leave Impact. I won't have anyone else. Okay.
That's a lie. The grossest thing you have ever done in your life that I have ever seen, it will get me every single time. Sorry, I actually just thought of it.
Yes.
Was when you wrestled Sami Callihan and you ate his spit.
Oh, yeah.
That was disgusting. I will never forget my reaction backstage while that was happening at the monitor. I was like, find me a bucket. It took me 10 minutes to calm down because every time I would get the vision in my head, it was just like, yeah, I can't talk about it anymore. But anyways, yeah, because it was gross. You could see it hanging on your hand and you ate it. It was disgusting.
Sammy spit in my face. I pulled it off of my eye. It was attached to my nose. And then I took it, looked at it, and then I ate it.
Oh. Yeah, that's right. It was on your face. Oh.
The first time a podcast, someone may throw up.
Oh, okay.
Well, for our listeners, I literally try to do this to him all the time.
Yeah, for that reason, just to see me in pain.
Pandemic and how much we missed the fans, correct. But
yeah,
I'm going to give you major props. A lot of people say they gained COVID weight. I gained COVID weight and COVID hair. But for you, you went a different route because you straight up had the Tommy Dreamer startup kit body. You had some nice love handles. You had some big ass chest and shoulders. You had a flabby belly. You would hide it by just keep on pulling up your trunks, Nikolai Volkov style. The pandemic hits.
Yeah.
Inspire the world right now.
Okay, so I've always had one knock on me, and it was my body. So I thought while the entire world is sleeping, I'm going to take this time to become the biggest superstar in professional wrestling, which was my goal. And I needed to fix my body. Gyms are closed. I have nothing, literally nothing. I go online. I spend 700 Canadian dollars on a recumbent bike so that I could have a stationary bike in my gym, which I still to this day work out in my garage gym in -1 degree Celsius, 30 degree Fahrenheit weather every single morning. I still have not gone to a regular gym unless I'm traveling. It's a daily thing. I just changed my entire mindset of who I am as a person and what I'm able to do. And now I have to do some physical activity every single day or I go insane. I'm choosing my foods better. It was all a mental mindset though. And I had to put myself there to be able to pull this off.
Your heaviest was?
265.
And what do you weigh today?
Today I'm like 215, but at the last set of tapings, which you could see coming up on December 12th or 13th, I can't remember, I'm screwing this up. Final resolution, Ethan Page versus Carl Anderson. I am 209 pounds in that match.
Got abs, which are very, very hard to do. But man, it's so inspirational.
Thank you.
And I know, here's what I always would say about myself. In ECW, it was all about me pursuing for ECW, the company. Then for WWE, it's all about chasing that dangling carrot. And then in my 40s, I got to realize what my last 20 years of work meant to other people. Through your social media, there's a lot of people, I'm one of them, that suffer from, like you said, like weight gain. I always suffered from weight gain. I physically can't train, like I can't do abs because then I blow out my back because I've had a litany of injuries. I have 2 torn pecs, which I also like to show you, and I stick my finger in the hole and you start to throw up. Yeah. But your journey, and when you vlog and you talk about it, there are so many people, because it's like, what do I do today? And you literally started it in one day, changed your mind and lost all this weight and totally changed your entire body. And it gives hope to people like DDP. And you're now one of those people where I feel you could capitalize more about it, like with, a meal company helping you out or doing, but you're inspiring others to better themselves. And that's so admirable, especially in these times, because we all feel like we're trapped. We all feel like there's no hope, but that gives people hope.
Yeah. And it's proof too that you could do it with nothing. Like my biggest workout is a skipping rope. Push-ups I do on a regular basis. Sit-ups I do every single day. These are all body movements. Like it's not, you don't need to go to the best gym. You don't need to be able to afford the best food. I literally joke with fans when they ask me what supplements I take. I say the cheapest ones on Amazon, because you and your body are the most important thing when it comes to fitness. Everything else, like the weights and the supplements, all that is a bonus. And if you are able to use it, that's great. But at the end of the day, you literally just need yourself and to be put in a mental state that you want to succeed and you want to change your body. I put out a vlog actually called How to Lose Weight and Get Jacked. It's on my YouTube channel. Check it out. I break down everything that I do and everything that I eat, and it's very, very, very simple. I tried to simplify it as best as I could just because that's the way my brain works. If it's easy to remember and it's very simple to do, I feel like you should be able to do it every single day.
I ate a box of cereal at 2 a.m. last night.
See, that's
I'm for the uninspired.
I will say though, my cheat days are absolutely bonkers, which I've vlogged those as well. But having them so far in advance and working towards them and kind of setting that day to be a degenerate and eat like a maniac, it's also very motivating too, because I know I get a reward in the end.
The Rock does it every Sunday, and you'll see his pancakes and all that stuff. But those are also goals to work towards. I'm gonna work this way and do all this, and man, I can't wait till I get to this day. That stuff is inspiring as well. Because tell me about, because I remember seeing this and I was so like, there's no way. You weighed yourself before your cheat day and then after when it stopped, and like how much weight did you put on?
Almost 20 pounds.
And it was like in how many days?
That day.
Yeah.
So I woke up that morning before my cheat day. I think I was, we should look it up, but I think 213, 214 pounds. And at the end of the day, I was 230.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was the best day though.
That is so much fat consumed. Actually, yesterday I went and did cardio, and I do 45 minutes a day. And I weighed myself before I did cardio, and I weighed myself after I did cardio, and I was 3 pounds less. And I was like, I cannot believe you burn, like I lost 3 pounds per the same scale. I weighed myself an hour in between. And I was just like, if I could just keep up this path, it isn't hard. But it's all in your mind. Like last night.
If you ate that cereal, right, at night, your body is going to retain so much water that when you wake up the next morning and you jump on and do cardio, whatever, you weigh yourself, you're weighing the damage you did from the day before. Then you do the cardio, you get rid of the water weight, you get rid of some of that sodium in your body, and then now you're kind of at that resting like body weight. Then you're going to go a couple more days and get the very annoying water weight. Then you're at your natural sitting fat water, like body weight. Then you start burning the fat. I call it like the 4 days. I tell my wife all the time, because we'll have these cheat days. And then for the next 4 days, I'm getting rid of literally that one day I ate, just to kind of like plateau myself and then get back to burning fat and stuff like that. It's crazy. The science behind it is insane.
The body is an amazing healing device.
Yeah.
I learned it when I broke my neck. You think you break your neck, you're not gonna, I didn't even know I broke my neck, but then my back starts overcompensating for my neck. That's what your body does.
Yeah.
This part is hurt. Let me heal it through other things. Same with weight loss and all that stuff. But what you have done with that is beyond motivational, especially during these times. So I'm not wearing a hat. This is my real hair, but my hat hair is off to you for doing it. The last thing, another great social media thing that you did, the emergence of this lost weight to the Karate Man. I love the Karate Man. You got me. And the best is, like you said, Josh, your best friend. We had this conversation at the last TV. I go and I click on your social media and I'm like, what is this idiot crying about? And I go and I'm watching, and then all of a sudden when you get punched, I'm like, what? And when the Karate Man emerged, I lost it. And I know we don't do a lot. I saw your one match on an indie show of the Karate Man, which you were just promoting online with pictures of yourself, all this stuff with your new physique. And then all of a sudden, this one match, I was like, my God, this kid, I love him. Tell me about the Karate Man.
Okay, so I had Jean-Claude Van Damme posters up in my little home gym. I've always grown up loving martial arts movies. I love Mortal Kombat. I am a black belt in karate and taekwondo. I'm feuding with Ken Shamrock. I am backstage. We're setting up a promo, and Don Callis says to me, "Hey, kid, you know it'd be hilarious if you call yourself the Karate Man." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, Don. Like, is this like a rib? You're trying to set me up?" He's like, "Just say it. I think it'd be really funny." I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure." So in the promo, I jokingly say I'm a karate man and whatever, just to try and pop everyone backstage. I get a kick out of it. I think it's hilarious. So now we fast forward to Slammiversary against Ken Shamrock. And I know there's a moment in this tag match where I have 10 seconds of just me on hard cam, and I lost all the weight and I'm feeling good. I'm going to do this crazy karate pose. I'm going to yell, "I am the Karate Man," and I'm going to throw a kick at Ken Shamrock. He catches it in the ankle lock. So I'm like, okay. That clip ends up kind of blowing up on Twitter, and I think, oh, you know what'd be hilarious is if I just tied a t-shirt around my head and put up the Karate Man t-shirt on my store, which I did, and people bought it. And I was like, well, if people are into this, maybe I can kind of make it like a character. To which I remember Jean-Claude Van Damme released a bunch of green screen footage many years ago for fans to be able to put him in their movies, which I always thought was cool. So I downloaded that from many years ago. I put the headband on, and Ethan Page was Karate Man in this segment where I put online where I fought Jean-Claude Van Damme. You can find that on my YouTube page too. And from there, it was like off to the races with having a completely separate character that I would take to indie shows. And yeah, I tried to make it a special thing. And now Ethan Page is having some problems with the Karate Man on the vlog. So we'll see how that turns out.
I wish there's COVID could help the Karate Man. And then there's in the COVID of wrestling with no fans, as well as then with fans, man, if COVID was not around and there were fans, I think the Karate Man could get super duper over. I look forward to seeing whatever happens. Now, my last question here, and I don't want to get fined or anything, but you have said that your contract is coming up with Impact Wrestling. I don't want you to say where you're going or what you're doing, because technically you're still under contract.
Yep.
But you have said this publicly. So your contract's coming up with Impact Wrestling at the end of December, the month?
Yep.
So you'll be a free agent January 1st, 2021. Mm-hmm. Wherever you wind up, I know I'll always see you. I know I'll DM you, have text conversations with you, but I think you have something in the Karate Man, and I think any place would be stupid not to market it, but as well as then you can get over. I feel you're sitting on greatness, like the Mankind Dude Love Mick Foley character. You yourself would have to get a push as yourself to make this happen. The Karate Man needs, like if you stay in Impact, the Karate Man could take over. If you go other places, I say you need 4 to 6 months of being you before the Karate Man could come in. So whatever happens to you, again, I wish, I hope I get to see more of you in Impact Wrestling, but if not, I hope to see you be successful. And I do think you'll be successful, unless you just mess up because you can be an idiot sometimes. But besides that, I wish you nothing but the best, and I'll always try to give you some advice like I do.
Thank you, Tommy. I'm so happy that you are excited for the Karate Man's future.
I am. I love it.
I am too. I love it. And whatever does happen next year, it's been amazing to kind of be able to pull all this craziness off during COVID. And like while the world was shut down, I really opened up a business, which is insane. So yeah, it's been awesome. I'm very nervous, but very excited for what's to come.
Push all your socials. I'll fall asleep during this time because I know you have a lot. So,
well, I made it very easy for everyone. They can just go to playedbyjulian.com. But as Tommy mentioned at the beginning of this, I'm most vocal and most active on Twitter, which is @officialego. So follow me on there and check that out. And I'm always posting my weekly vlogs. I'm always streaming multiple days a week on Twitch. So yeah, if you're looking for content, I'm providing it.
do you have total side question? Just because I forgot to ask you this, do you follow any real sports?
I don't.
I
No.
knew it. You just follow toys and like Disney and all that stuff,
Yeah. That's literally it. Yeah.
and wrestling.
Yeah. And wrestling. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like you for the wrestling stuff. All right. Well, I got
Perfect.
nothing else to say. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. And like I said, I wish and hope for nothing but for success for you and your beautiful family. And I think with your work ethic, you will continue. Though I'm going to just give you some old timer advice. With your great body, you kind of messed it up because you now have to have this great body for the rest of your career. So me,
Yeah,
I
I
put the
know.
t-shirt on, I could just let my stuff go and I get a XX t-shirt whenever I want.
Well, I will say the Karate Man is the sole reason for me staying lean, because I could never insult the integrity of the character by putting the headband on with a belly.
I hear you. It's good. I appreciate it. Well,
Thanks, Tom.
thank you again. And this is this week's episode of the House of Hardcore Podcast.